So I thought it was about time that I should give you a car tour and show you my hand controls. When I picked up my i40 Hyundai wagon, it was already fitted with Guidosimplex e-radial hand controls. Yeah, so I'll show you how they work. So we have this hand control lever just here, and what you do is you push the lever to brake, and then you turn this hinge to accelerate. And that's basically how it is. So it's actually pretty simple to work. But the tricky thing is, because I'm gonna have to have one hand on this accelerator brake system at all times, that means I can only steer with one arm. So what they do is they use this spinner knob here, so you can rotate the steering wheel purely with one arm. It's not as good compared to using two arms for turning. So when you're turning like a big steep corner, it does get a bit tricky and I don't like it as much. But I guess that's just what you get from hand controls. With the spinner knob, the steering wheel is actually very easy to turn, and it does help because this car has very light steering. So it's just like super duper easy, which makes it especially good for people who might not have much hand control, or their arms might be slightly weaker, like mine are. So something I find that I use a lot is the cruise control. I don't like using the steering with the spinner knob as much because I don't have as much stomach muscles as some people would. It means when I'm turning around steep corners, I find myself like more hanging on to the steering wheel, trying to stop myself wobbling side to side when I'm turning the corner. And that's purely because I'm turning with the one arm, which makes myself drift from side to side, rather than once you're turning with both hands on the steering wheel, you can sort of like keep yourself more stable. So with that being said, I use my cruise control quite a lot, and that means I can completely take my hand off the accelerator and the brake, and then I can drive completely normally with my hands like this. And then once I do need a brake, I can just take one hand off and go back to the normal position, and it makes it a lot easier than just driving with the spinner knob all the time. There's two little buttons just under where my left knee is, just here, and they are really special. They actually turn the hand controls off, and then the brake and the accelerator foot pedals on. So if I'm not driving, say my mum, my dad, or one of my friends, they can drive this car completely normally, and it doesn't mean they have to then learn how to drive with their hand controls. Also, they can take the spinner knob off. There's just a little button here, and you can just take it off so they can drive completely normally, and it's not just me who's having to drive this car. Because there are two buttons down here, one of them, like I said before, turns the accelerator and the brake off, which is hand controls, and the other button actually moderates the strength of the hand controls. So one way means when you accelerate, it's a lot more sensitive than the other one. So if you're a learner driver, when you're accelerating, it's not as strong, or if you're backing, you want to go just really, really slowly, you can get that very like slow acceleration compared to the other side. So that is also very handy. One of the problems that I have is I have a lot of spasms with my legs, and that can be a problem while driving because my leg might spasm up and hit hit the brake. As you can see, it's just kind of doing it now. There we go. So you can either get a plate that's like made and fitted for the car, and that just sits over the top of the brake and the accelerator in case your feet do spasm up, they can't actually hit it, which is really good, and we need to get around getting that, but that's just another thing, and I haven't had this car very long. So that's one of the options. But something that I've been doing to reduce this problem, and it's been working quite well, is I've actually been crossing my legs while driving. It's a bit funny, but it seems to be very effective. So I'll just be sitting up with my legs, and I can just drive like so, which is very convenient when you're using hand controls. It does look a bit funny, but that's what I do.